If you know anything about economics, it's that money can be used to purchase a good or service. This is the foundation to a 23-year-long bit across the Haruhi Suzumiya series, where the evil woman siphons the bank account of our righteous protagonist. This sick act of gluttony is typically mitigated by the plot, which requires them to be doing something other than spending money. However, there is one arc of the story, the most infamous, where there is no plot to save us. This, then, brings with it a simple question. How much would it cost to recreate this in real life? To know what all we need to purchase, we'll be using what is probably you as the everyman. Using my analytics, there's a 92.3% chance that you are a man, and a 46.8% chance that you are 18 to 24. But the most relevant number is the 44.5% chance of you being an American. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't give me analytics data by state, so I'll be making the assumption that you live near Haruhi's official home state of Texas, and therefore will need to travel to reach a Buddhist Obon festival. It also doesn't give me any information on how lonely any of y'all are, but Haruhi implies with her bring money line at the start of every episode of this arc that our everyman will be paying for a full group of 5 for every activity. While Obon festivals do, surprisingly, exist in the United States, our closest being Colorado, I'm willing to bet that a plane ticket to Osaka is preferred. This gives us our one-time purchase of 5 round-trip tickets from DFW to Osaka from August 16th to August 31st, at $1,311 per person or $6,555 total. This will let us land on the 17th and spend the final moments of our loop asleep on a plane. The events we see on screen are as follows: public pool, cafe, yukata shopping, fireworks, cicada catching, part-time work, stargazing, batting center, fishing contest, movie, bowling, karaoke, a single vending machine drink purchase in episode 4, and use of a disposable camera in episode 5. However, using the context of the arc, not everything on this list will contribute to our funds. Haruhi typically purchases outfits, so the yukata are not coming out of our pocket, and we get no respite from the part-time work, as the payment is the frog suit. We are also going to assume that Kyon pays for drinks at the end of every day, as we are shown at least 3 occasions where they end the day at a cafe. Starting from the top, public pool admission at Kita Shukugawa swimming pool is 500 yen per person. Multiplying that by our 5-person group gives us $15.85. For fireworks, it's around 1,155 yen for the variety packs we see them purchase, 500 yen for the mortars, and 2,000 yen for a pack of Roman candles, leading to a very disappointing haul of $23.19. The brigade is clearly lacking a pyromaniac. Disposable cameras are also like $20 now, which is insane. Due to our merry band being Texan, we likely don't have a Japanese bug net and cage that we're taking with us, leading to another $14.60 each, or $73 total. This one vending machine drink is probably about 95 cents. I'll also assume we aren't taking a telescope on the plane trip, which means another $150 for one similar to what we see in the episodes. Batting centers will cost about $12.70, but the rest of the admittance costs are a bit more complex. For karaoke, it depends on date and time, but there's a 5 out of 7 chance that this was done on a weekday, making it about 2,000 yen per person or $63.40 total. For bowling, they didn't leave until everyone got a strike, and they do have Mikuru in their group, so it's unlikely to have happened in their first play. I found a deal at a Nishinomiya bowling alley for 1,950 yen for 3 games, which I will assume is enough for someone to get bored and cheat a strike, with 400 yen per rental shoe for a total of $25.06. Movie tickets were another problem. The national average for Japan is around 1,900 yen. To put that in perspective, a ticket in the US hit a peak average of $11.64 compared to this $12.04. What makes this section difficult is that Haruhi is seen with some concessions, but it's surprisingly difficult to find the price of concessions for movie theaters in foreign countries. The best I found were some blogs, the occasional you can just bring your own snacks post, and general cheaper than America comments. So I'm throwing out the first real number I found of 670 yen, or $4.25 for a large popcorn and 2 drinks, for a total of $64.45. The last 2 are the most interesting. I have gained very strong opinions about Japanese environmental protection legislation and how impossible it is to figure this out. Fishing in a Japanese river, as to protect the environment and ensure fish can continue to populate, is subject to the same fishing license rules as a normal country. However, unlike sane countries, the Japanese have regulated this by local ordinance, sometimes by river, meaning you need to purchase a specific license every time you fish at a different location. This makes it completely insane and impossible to determine how much it would cost to join this one specific goby catching contest shown in Endless 8. I completely gave up trying to figure this out when I read that it ranges from 700 to 2,500 yen and isn't always enforced. I have no clue what else to do, so I'm going to take that 2,500 yen per person and make that a general sum for purchasing the license, rods, and bait, totaling $79.29. Now, we need to analyze our cafe fund. Looking at the menu for Cafe Dream, the cafe they go to in the show, Nagato drinks the melon cream soda for 500 yen. I have no clue what Asahina is drinking, but I'll assume another 500 yen. Despite me literally going here and having a black coffee, I think it's funnier if we exclusively use small black coffee from McDonald's, since that got Haruhi's official seal of approval earlier this year for some reason at 140 yen each. This is $9.01 each time. Reasonable. However, this is one of the few times we are shown how much Kyon is paying for something. Their total cafe bill was 5,000 yen, or $31.69. Due to this being the final meeting point for 13 days straight, this means drinks alone contribute $411.97, or 43.8% of our budget not including plane tickets, for a total of $939.86. Now, you'd assume we'd need to multiply this number by 15,532, but in actuality, we only need this sum one time as the money is going to return to you at the end of each 2-week period. Because money is being transferred, we will assume that each of the 15,532 sets of 2 weeks will contribute to GDP. Does money circulated through Haruhi's whims count as consumption of a good or service? Probably, I don't know. To do this calculation, we first take our calculated cost and subtract the plane ticket. This is for 2 reasons. First is that we technically bought it to reach Japan for the start of Endless 8, not as part of the 2-week period, meaning it wouldn't return to us, and because an international ticket contributes to the national GDP depending on the airline. You could muddy up the calculation by paying through a Japanese airline, but it changes so little that I won't be considering it. We then multiply our cost by 2, as the money moves twice, once out of your pocket and once back. This implies that Haruhi is providing a good or service which is adding that specific amount to the economy, for which every institution is paying their exact share back, which makes sense to me. This number is then multiplied by 15,531, and then added to the initial value for the 2 weeks which ends the loop. This gives us a total value of $29,194,871.18. We can then look at the Q3 real GDP of Japan, which might not be accurate for historical data, but Haruhi defines what's real, so we're using this number, and divide it by 3 to get an average for a single summer month, effectively creating an estimated GDP for August. We can then add the economic value of Endless 8 to this number for comparison. I did this for every value from 2009 to 2024. Surprisingly, our escapades over the 597-year-long 2 weeks is visible, ranging from barely noticeable 0.17% increase for 2010 to dominant 186% increase for 2023 year-over-year growth, averaging at a 13.1% increase in year-over-year GDP when added. Now, while this sounds like a lot, it's the increase of growth. What I mean by that is that our most noticeable contribution only adds 0.009%, resulting in the year-over-year changing from negative 0.005 to 0.004% growth. However, we are still contributing $29,194,871.18 to their economy. And while that is daunting, remember that you only need that initial $7,494.86. For someone in the 18 to 24 age bracket, it's statistically not impossible to acquire this amount of money, especially as you get closer to that old man status. However, it would be much more difficult for 15-year-old Kyon. Now, you might mention that he doesn't need to pay for plane tickets, nets, telescopes, and whatnot, but he does have to supply $31.69 cafe visits for much longer than the 2 weeks here. So where does he get all his money from? The answer is quite simple. It was promised to him 3,000 years ago. When Moses was bringing the United Tribes of Israel out of Egypt, right after crossing the Red Sea, the children of Israel had to pass through a land between Elim, likely the Wadi Garandel, and Mount Sinai, known as the Wilderness of Sin. During this time, they were lacking on food, and doubt was consuming them. It would have been much easier to live a boring life than to take risks looking for something exciting. However, the struggle was entirely cognitive. Exodus chapter 16 explains that everything one needed to survive was provided to them, no more and no less. Faith replenished their stock. For a character like Haruhi, whose entire ability is based on her having faith that the supernatural is real, we can apply this directly to Kyon's wallet. Haruhi believes that Kyon will be able to purchase these tiny things, as they don't cost much. In this way, Kyon will always be able to purchase something so long as Haruhi believes he can purchase it. Kyon's net worth is functionally infinite. His pockets, you might say, are endless.